I'm here to talk about what it's like to be a woman travelling alone on the road in a mobile home, and also some handy tips and tricks I've learnt over the years. I've been travelling on my own for 18 years now, so watch on if you'd like to know more. I've been travelling by myself for a long time, and there's certain things I've learnt, certain things I've also changed because I used to take more risks than I do now, but I'm 50 this month, so I just can't be bothered with taking those anymore. I've only really had one quite scary mishap in all those years, so that's actually not bad going, I feel. And that was with somebody who I suspect was on P in the middle of the day. It wasn't at night, it was at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so I wasn't sort of set up or door locked or anything. But anyway, I think in 18 years that's not a bad track record. Generally, I feel quite safe, but these days I tend to try and find places that feel a bit more secure, even private land or motor caravan parks and things like that. I do appreciate a gate that keeps hoons and people like that out, because I don't feel scared of them, but they're really, really annoying. So I'm going to look at 8 points that I found have helped me and may help somebody else too. So safety, of course, is number one. Parking in safe places. If you're feeling at all nervous, try and park not right on top of other people. Nobody likes that, but nearby. And yeah, do find places where you feel okay. There's no need to put yourself into places. Oops, we've got a car going past. There's no need to put yourself somewhere where you're actually not happy and can't sleep properly, because it's not worth it. So do your research before you go and see where you might like to stay, and then go and have a look at it. Cell phone reception is another one that I find is really quite handy when I'm out and about on my own. Yeah, being able to call if you need to is quite a handy thing. So if you're at all worried about that, I mean, I do go to places that don't have receptions, but not very often, because my online work needs reception anyway. So yeah, and just being organized with that so that you feel okay where you are. Second is mechanicals. Now that's an interesting one, because unfortunately we live in the world where some people still think that women don't know anything about anything mechanical and try to pull a fast one on women. So what I've found handy, and I have learned a lot, and I am quite practical and do quite a bit of maintenance myself on my truck, but I like to arm myself with information if I do go to a mechanic, so that I know exactly what I'm asking for. Try and do a bit of research or ask somebody so that you actually, when you go there, you can ask specifically for what you want done, rather than have a mechanic tell you that you need this and that when maybe you don't. So it does still happen, unfortunately. And finding a really good one. I've got a couple of good ones in this country, and yeah, if I can get there, I will go back to them, because I know I can trust them and they're very, very honest. So that is really important to me. So yeah, do try and have a few clues about what you're asking for when you go, and that way the mechanic gets the idea that you do have a bit of an idea of what's going on, so that they can't just do whatever they want. Actually, the worst one I ever had was in Hamilton, and I wanted an oil filter change, and I was very specific in asking for that, and it took forever. And then finally my truck was ready, and I wasn't allowed anywhere near the workshops. And they came out and they'd given it this full service, including checking the software, apparently, which Bedford doesn't have software. So I had a bit of a discussion with them, and they did reduce some of it, but it was still really annoying because they'd done what I didn't ask for, and even the grease they'd given it, they hadn't even done all the grease nipples, only some of them, so it was pretty shoddy. So that's one place I would never ever go back to. I thought that was pretty bad. So yeah, don't let people railroad you into doing things you don't want to do. And if you're really concerned, take somebody who knows their way around a vehicle with you when you go. Number 3 is a funny one, but there are a lot of single people on the road, and some people assume that just because you're single that you're kind of desperate for some attention from the opposite sex. I'm not out here to play dating games and things like that, and I do find it, I don't know, flattering, but it's not really my thing. So yeah, learning how to politely turn people away, it usually works quite well. But yeah, some people will take your friendliness for more, especially if they're a bit lost and alone and don't really want to be alone. So yeah, it's just a bit of a humorous one I'll put in there. 4, arriving early enough to get a good look at a place. I like to get somewhere in daylight, so I've got a good idea of where I'm staying, what the general surroundings are, how I feel about it, and to be able to see exactly where I'm parking myself, you know. It's just nice to be able to settle in and know your surroundings before it gets dark, in my opinion. Number 5 is privacy. It's an important one, as you know, there are more and more people on the road now. I think the Motor Caravan Association's got 70 odd thousand members now. Yeah, making sure you have some privacy and allowing others theirs. I think there's, yeah, just a way of making it quite clear that you don't want somebody 3 feet from your doorstep, and you don't want to watch them brush their teeth and do all of those sort of things necessarily, you know. So if there's space, I think it's quite nice to allow everybody some space. And I think as a woman on your own, it can feel quite intrusive when somebody sticks themselves straight into your space and parks really, really close. I used to have concerns with that. Now I just actually go out and say, hey, is there need for you to be so close? You know, there's plenty of room here. Do you mind giving me a little bit more space? And most people kind of look a bit shocked and surprised, but they're happy to do that. So it's okay to insist on a certain amount of privacy. Number 6 is an important one that I came across years ago with a friend of mine. We were both single and we were in Northland, and we were both wanting to get out and roam and explore. And we made a point of always texting each other where we were going. So that the other one knew if something happened, if somebody disappeared, somebody knew where they were. You know, I think that is a really, really good idea. But yeah, let somebody know, a family member, somebody, let them know that where you're going, you know. And that way, if anything did ever happen, not that it probably would, somebody knows where you've gone. 7, trust your gut about a place. If you feel really uncomfortable somewhere, even though it looks pretty, even though it looks great, trust that. I've found that invaluable over the years. Sometimes I've sat there and thought, why don't I feel right about this place? And I have no idea why, but it feels wrong. It doesn't feel good. It feels somehow off, and yeah, I tend to listen to that then and go and find another place to stay, because I think we have very good instincts. So if a place feels not very comfortable, it's a good time to move. Number 8, get to know your vehicle. It can save you a lot of hassles in the long run. When I first bought this truck, I got the owner who sold it to me, Gary, to show me where everything was. And even after that, when I took it to my mechanics for the first time, I got them to give me a quick run over anything I didn't know. So you know where everything is, you know what it's all about, how it works, how to do things. it just makes you feel much more confident when you have that knowledge. I mean, for this vehicle, I've got a whole history in a book of all the work I've done on it or had done on it, what parts were replaced, parts numbers, things like that. And it's actually such a handy book to have to keep a record of all of that. So yeah, get to know your vehicle intimately. It's very important. It's not just a car, it's where you stay or sleep or live, and knowing what you're driving and how it works and how everything propels it down the road, it just gives for more confidence and less worry. It's no longer this sort of big blank confusing thing. So yeah, it's quite priceless. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask people. I mean, that's how I've learnt. Most of what I've learned is just by asking people and learning, you know. The other day I had a bit of a fuel problem, but there happens to be a guy who used to be a mechanic on Bedfords here, and so I ran some of my concerns past him. I didn't expect him to run over and fix it, and he didn't, and he can't anyway. It needs a bit more specific help, but it was so handy being able to ask somebody for information and for confirmation that my thoughts were kind of on the right track. So I really appreciate running into people like that just for information. And most people don't mind that if you ask them for info. People don't always like it if you expect them to run around and do things for you, but information is generally, yeah, most people are happy to share that. So yeah, those are just some key points. I mean, there's probably a whole lot more, but traveling on my own, I mean, I've enjoyed it. I think in a sense you actually meet more people because you're not focused on whoever you're with. You're actually probably a bit more open and just meet more people and connect with more people, and it's been an awesome experience. I've met so many amazing people and so many interesting people, and actually some really interesting women who travel on their own. Last winter I met this wonderful woman who was traveling around, and she writes books. Another lovely lady, she had a little camper and she was into collecting fossils and stones and things like that. She was a bit of a rock hound, and very, very interesting people with strong passions and interests and things like that. So I think it's priceless meeting those ladies, especially since they're quite a bit older than me. So it's nice to see them still doing it and still enjoying themselves on the road and traveling around. So yeah, so if you've got any other thoughts or things that you feel are important, please put them in the comments on YouTube. If you'd like me to make videos about other aspects of that, I mean, it is something I relate to strongly after 18 years of solo travel. Mind you, I did have travel with groups a bit for work, but during the week I generally take off on my own because I feel like having a bit of space. You know, you need to have that balance between privacy and company, I think, in this lifestyle. So, yeah. Anyway, if you like this video and would like to see more like that, please like and subscribe. I've only just started this channel, so it's a fairly new one, and I'm still trying to come up with ideas of what to make videos about. So I would really value your input. So thank you for watching, and see you in my next one.